Love. What do you possibly think you know about love? You know, I'm sick and tired of people using love like it's a disease you just catch. Love should have took Marcus right into therapy, because what in the STD is this movie? Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is Tiffany, and breaking down media messaging with comedy and conversation is sort of my thing, and we do that with deep analysis on the movies we watch and the movies we love. But love is a very strong word in the context of the next film that we'll be discussing, a movie that was the first of its kind in the black rom-com genre, and also a piece that was somewhat controversial when it came out. Now, if you aren't familiar with Boomerang, or it's been a while since you've seen it, let me get you clued in. Boomerang follows the many hookups of successful ad executive Marcus Graham, a man with money, power, and a salacious reputation. Marcus, played by Eddie Murphy, beds women with little regret, but can't seem to find anyone that masters his sexual appetite or ambition. After a company merger, Marcus finds that his new boss, the glamorous Jacqueline, played by Robin Givens, has a man-eating reputation of her own by treating him the same way that he's treated women. At the same time, the artistic and empathetic Angela, played by Halle Berry, befriends Marcus after a fizzling relationship with his best friend. And throughout the movie, we see an exploration of unnecessary love triangles, open doors, loose boundaries, and ongoing situationships. Now, if I'm honest, I am a little nervous about jumping back into the saddle with this movie. This is one of those beloved comedies in the black film canon, but it's also one that's easy to have mixed feelings about. And to keep it a stack with y'all, I saw this when I was very young. A little too young, actually, but now that I'm all grown up, I can see just how adult this movie is. But just like other analyses on my channel, we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the ridiculous, including the story, the characters, and the comedy. But this is my trigger warning. There will be discussions around sex, sexuality, and the pedestal that it has in our culture. And some of you who know my personal values, my relationship with Jesus, you might be wondering, what are you doing talking about this film? I'm so glad you asked. See, it's my mission with the channel to explore popular cultural ideas and the messages that we get from media, to push back on the complacency that many of us have in taking so much in. And I'm here to wake you up so that you'll have a critical eye towards what the culture is telling you, and then decide for yourself if that's the life that you want to lead. Now, I will be bleeping out curse words, and I will not be showing anything explicit on screen, but I also understand that some folks' sensibilities may be offended by the subject matter, in which case you can totally like this video and head on out. Now, enough disclaiming, let's get into it. In my rewatch of Boomerang, there was a lot that caught me off guard from jump, and the opening scene is no exception. We're introduced to our main man, Marcus Graham, the high-powered executive at an ad agency. And as he walks the halls of his company, we can see just how much power Marcus actually has.
Good morning. Hey, stranger. Nice to see you here. Good morning. Good morning, cuteness. Hey, how you doing? What's up? Hey, morning. Morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Marcus is the man, a man's man, in an office full of women. And what strikes me the most about this scene is how quickly the movie establishes everything we need to know about this character in less than 2 minutes, which gives us as an audience the buy-in to start asking some questions. Like, why does this man walk around head to toe in high fashion? Why are all of the women in his office attractive and model-like? And how did Eddie Murphy pull off this playboy persona and then went on to do Vampire in Brooklyn only 3 years later?
I would love to have you for dinner.
But the biggest question that many people asked in 1992 was, how is this black man a successful rich executive in New York City in a corporate office of all black employees? Now, if we play the clip back, there aren't any white people in this opening scene. And for my white brothers and sisters, this is no shade, but in 1992, there were so many reviews and think pieces and talk shows that discussed how this film was a fantasy right off the bat because it didn't incorporate white people in the positions that we expect them.
This is from the LA Times. This reviewer says, the most intriguing aspect of Boomerang turns out not its story, but its racial composition. It says, this takes pains to create a reverse world from which white people are invisible.
There were no, there were white people in the movie, but there were no white leads in it. And you take a picture like Boys in the Hood. No one tripped about that because it was, a movie that dealt with like a violent thing, but
right.
Regular thing, and it was business. So we're the white people. Who's running that office? Was that kind of,
I saw it. It's a cultural bias. It's the type of thing where people say they're not used to seeing black artists in these roles, so it seems odd to me. But I would say,
well, you better get used to it because I ain't going no place.
But I love when movies sprinkle a little truth into the entertainment. Like when Marcus tells his homeboys Tyler and Gerard about his thoughts on romancing a woman.
You have too much dog and no romance in your life.
Whoa, well, Marcus, don't even try that, all right? You ain't got no romance.
Excuse me. I am the most romantic cat both of you know. When I meet a woman, I am flowers, I am candy, I am soft music.
And Mr. Milkbone.
No, I am Mr. Romance when I meet a woman, and then once I hit it, I lose interest, but that ain't my fault.
See there? Did you hear it? He said, and I quote, I am Mr. Romance when I meet a woman, and then once I hit it, I lose interest, but that ain't my fault. Weird. It's almost like Marcus is telling us something that we all already know, but rarely like to admit. That sex is not this automatic connector or builder of relationships, but culture says that sex should be casually pursued. It's not something to put too much stock in, but something that you should put all of your eggs in. No pun intended. We even identify ourselves by sexual preference. We commit ourselves to so-called sexual freedom, but we're bound to sexual confusion that we keep trying to undo with every new partner. And Marcus is no exception. He expects that with each new notch in his belt, he'll somehow fill this love tank that's painfully empty. And with each new woman comes a new angle. A lost dog, a broken heart, a scorned lover.
Gold star for Marcus. Dinner was yummy. How'd you learn how to cook like that?
You kind of pick those things up, you know, when you're alone as much as I am.
Really?
Yeah. See,
Marcus, you know you wrong. Marcus.
let's go in the living room.
Okay.
Girlfriend, hey. Woo!
We love a Tisha Campbell cameo, and it makes sense when the director of Boomerang, Reginald Hudlin, is also the director of cult classic House Party. But let's not kid around here, because when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And the stupidest prize is the one that you cheat to get and still don't win. In the middle of all of Marcus's sexual games, he tries to secure his career.
I'm sorry, I'm Jacqueline Breuer.
Okay.
I have to tell you, I'm a huge fan of your work.
Thank you very much. I mean, it turns out you're a fan of my work, huh? You know what else? Yeah, I'll let you in a little secret, because you're a very pretty girl. When this whole merger goes through, I'm gonna be in charge of all of marketing.
You are. Marcus. I'm afraid that there's been some kind of misunderstanding. I'm sorry, you see, I'm in charge of marketing.
No, that's impossible.
He puts in a bid for the senior marketing role with the figurehead of a merging company who is none other than Lady Eloise.
You were in my medicine cabinet all my life, and now I'm, like, working with you, and this is very exciting.
I find it very exciting as well.
I'm looking forward to a long, strong, productive relationship. I don't want to blow my own horn, but I'm really qualified.
You shouldn't have to blow your own horn. You should leave that for someone else to do.
One of the more memorable scenes with Miss Eartha Kitt's signature purr. But after realizing she's interested in more than working together, Marcus takes a turn. He tries to prove his worth as an employee, and again, as the audience, we are forced to acknowledge this reverse situation. But don't forget the title. It's called Boomerang for a reason. And we're about to see something very strange. Or should I say, Strange. How could anyone forget the infamous introduction of Miss Strange? I don't care what anyone says, it is the most iconic, insane, and edgy entrance for a character ever. She's like a comic book villain, comes in with her own costume. She's got a face that should be drawn like it's animating off the page. But in Marcus's world, she represents a powerful dynamic to his life and career. At this point in the movie, Marcus is completely enthralled by Jacqueline and deeply frustrated by his inability to tame her. Not only has she usurped his career, she's also competent, beautiful, and very much aware of the power that she has over men.
I came up here to talk to you about us. I'm rapping. This is my Mac Daddy vibe I'm giving you.
Really?
Yes, I'm the Alleganza Mac Daddy of the month.
Oh, I see. But I think that we should kind of make this clear. You see, I don't date men. I work with.
Well, then I quit.
You can't quit because I need you.
And similar to Strangé's whip routine in the gala entrance, Marcus is now being controlled by that same sex appeal that he frequently weaponizes. Now, I want you to remember that control and sex as a weapon. It's a theme that comes up again and again throughout this movie. Jacqueline adds insult to injury every time she rejects Marcus's advances. Control. But when she relents, it's on her times and on company time.
Hey, Marcus. Why don't you come here for a second?
I'm not playing. My key reality's not working.
Please?
And some of y'all might be wondering, well, she gave up power by sleeping with him. How is she in control again? Jacqueline knows exactly what she's doing. It's why she wouldn't give Marcus the satisfaction of having her at his place or on his timetable. The mission is simple. Jacqueline's gonna starve Marcus out, forcing him to second guess his mojo and simultaneously marking her territory. Now, jumping back to Strangé for a moment, there's a sort of cat and mouse game happening where the abrasive primal take that she has towards Marcus is just too much for him to handle.
What?
But this is Marcus we're talking about. The same man who lied about a lost dog, a cheating fiance, and a priest to get a woman into bed. Yeah, yikes. But Jacqueline is no saint. She plays this man like she was sent to destroy him.
Listen. You're not getting serious on me, are you?
Talking about am I getting serious?
Or you want this to grow into a relationship where, God, we're together all the time, stuff like that. Are you?
Excuse me. I know that you're not telling me that New Orleans was a fling.
I had a great time in New Orleans. You know I had a great time in New Orleans.
So what's the problem?
New Orleans was New Orleans, and we should leave it at that.
Even I feel bad watching this man look so pitiful. I think the only thing that would make me feel better is watching a montage of him waiting by the phone.
Hello? Yes? Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Mr. Graham?
Yes.
Miss Breuer has asked me to tell you that she is free the evening of the 12th.
The 12th is 3 weeks from now.
Sorry, that's her first opening. Should I pencil you in?
Ah, yes, we've all been there. When let's see each other again turns into I'll call you, which turns into 2 weeks of ghosting and popping up randomly at 11 p.m. next year, talking about you up. Not that I've experienced that or anything. But thankfully, Marcus doesn't have to wait too long since Jacqueline arrives at his house right on time, just a few hours after they were supposed to meet. Now, I'm not going to show this next part, but just know that relations were had, and then like a good dog, Marcus is left with his tail between his legs and $200 on the nightstand. And of course, he feels used because he is. This is when the movie takes a bit of a turn because we've now lost Marcus, the alpha dog with the pick of the litter. He's a shell of his former self, beaten down by falling in lust with his supervisor, who's just as bad as he is, and falling for all the same tricks that he normally plays. And I just don't get it, internet friends. Like, why? Why do we so often reap what we sow so hard? Life just be hitting you in the face with stuff, and it fails to be funny because it's happening to you. Or maybe that's just me. Even the concept of a boomerang is hardcore. Boomerangs are a type of throwing stick instrument that's used in tribal and Aboriginal context. The two types are returning and non-returning boomerangs. Returning boomerangs, as you expect, fly and are used as a decoy. But non-returning boomerangs are used as weapons, and they are meant to target game that's being hunted. Guys, the movie title literally tells you the entire storyline. Setting traps and decoys and hunting prey. It's brilliant entomology. And also, like, super interesting for a culture that is stuck in a cycle of so-called sexual liberation and sexual dysfunction. And speaking of dysfunction, Strangé is about to derail all of Marcus and Jacqueline's career mojo with her outbursts. That same primal energy that makes her a great influencer also makes her a nightmare to work with.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Stop that. Stop it. Will you stop it? Get out of here.
Oh, merde alors! I mean, I don't believe this.
Now, we're going to talk about this scene in a separate video because I have thoughts. But what we know is that Marcus loses his situationship with Jacqueline, he loses the leverage in his career, and he loses his confidence overall. I guess what he needs is a little pick-me-up. had to leave the sweet artist Angela to now, because I honestly can't talk about her without getting a little bit of an attitude. She just, start with the obvious. They really tried to make Halle Berry plain in this movie in comparison to Robin Gibbons' more glamorous character. But this woman is stunning no matter what, and I'm not falling for it. She's beautiful. She gives artistic and free-spirited, but low-key, she is begging Marcus to pick her as his next victim.
We're going to New Orleans. Have you been to New Orleans?
No. Seems like it's a sexy town.
It's the kind of place where you just take somebody that you love and just sit back, relax, throw on the jazz, and just chill. That's something you can do when Jacqueline gets to town, you know.
Now, where'd that come from?
I don't know. Where did that come from?
What?
Who said that?
Now, all these little moments sprinkled throughout where Angela chats with Marcus and finds the conversation landing about other women and who he's interested in, it's really giving I'm not like other girls heavy. And as someone who very much identifies as a creative, artistic mind, I really tried to see Angela's character objectively. I did. But dang, girl, just dang. She's so talented and beautiful. And yes, drawn to the most toxic of partners. This is not a movie about me, okay? It's about Angela. We're talking about Angela. Let's just remember that. And I'm not saying that she should have made it work with Gerard and his no game having self. But it's the picking him up after a rebound like 5 minutes ago with their boss. Angela works in the same agency with Jacqueline and Marcus and knows all the escapades, and she still was like, I'm gonna see for myself. And not just see, she moves in with dude and gets dogged out in her face.
Here he is. Okay.
Hey. Yeah. No, that was, Angela. She just stopped by for a second. Uh-huh. Really?
Can you imagine having your entire life set up at someone's apartment and they're just like, she just dropping something off? Girl, run. The reality is that Angela is so many people that you and I both know, just folks who do not know their worth and will stay in a situationship with someone who doesn't even really like them. All because the bed has made us a slave and it is our master. Now, I know that was pretty harsh language, but I cannot stress how tough it is to watch a comedy, no less, show more reality in a few scenes than many of us will take in an entire Atlanta Housewives season.
Who had been saying that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Sex is ravaging us. It is destroying our abilities to connect with people as human beings and just as playthings. And when we use each other's bodies in this way, just flippant and casual and downright disrespectful, we completely lose sight of our humanity. That's why Angela is so tragic, because she has lost herself in a man who sees her body to be used like those paint clothes she had on, just to clean the brushes with, you know, until Marcus decides he wants to go dip in another palette. And I really hope I'm not spoiling this for y'all, but Marcus does just that. He slides right on over to Jacqueline once more after he gets a little taste of his confidence back.
Look at you now. You're relaxed. You're more confident. Just like the man I met in that elevator.
But trust, Angela gonna get her licks back.
There's certain things you just have no control over, all right?
Like what?
Like love.
What do you know about love? What do you possibly think you know about love? You know, I'm sick and tired of men using love like it's some kind of disease you just catch. Love should have brought you home last night. You don't love me, you don't love Jacqueline, you only love your damn self.
You know, Jacqueline says that I'm a better person now, and I know I owe that all to you.
Love should have brought him home. You know what? Love should have had you define the relationship, though. Love should have taken Marcus right into therapy, because what in the STD is this movie? Y'all have to forgive me, because I be getting so tight watching these films that I love but can't stand, because art imitates life. And this life is for the birds. if you aren't Angela or a Marcus or a Jacqueline or heck, a Strawn J, I just want you to treat yourself with some love and respect and stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop treating your body like an all-you-can-eat buffet and start treating yourself like a Blockbuster. There's only one left and you can't visit anytime you want. Now that metaphor might have been a little too meta, but you get what I'm saying.
I'm out of here.
Now, Angela does do something right here where she moves out and moves on. Angela's now Jacqueline, corporate and continuing the cycle. She's got a great job as a creative or artistic director, but she started neglecting her relationships and throwing herself into her work. But the idea here is that hurt people hurt people. And the more that Angela tries to work through her personal heartbreak that she's experienced, the more callous that she becomes. Even going so far as to stop her volunteer teaching gig with the youth program.
What are you two doing here?
Oh, we miss you. Where have you been?
Well, I miss you too, and I've been working. It requires me to work long hours, and I just haven't had the time to teach the class anymore. I'm sorry.
You always had time for us.
Now, before we get to this final scene, I do want you to smash that like button and subscribe because you're still here. So you must be intrigued by what we're gonna do next, or you hate everything I've said and have something to post down below. Either way, so glad you're still here.
It's pretty low using the kids, Marcus.
Look, I've been sending you letters, Angela, and I know you got them.
I'm just not real big on words on paper these days.
Okay.
You hurt me.
I miss you.
Marcus, Marcus, Marcus.
I'm in love with you.
You can't love me the way I deserve to be loved. That's what this is about.
You think I'd come down here and bother you unless I was ready to be everything you wanted in a relationship?
Oh my God, the audacity of Marcus, who cheated, mind you, to come down to her JLB and try to communicate his feelings by blaming her for moving on with her life. Trust I would feel the same if the roles were reversed, but yikes, big yikes. Guys, this is manipulation. And if you hear someone tell you that you should take them back because they made some grand gesture, I want you to pause. I want you to take a moment and think, does this gesture equate to a heart change? Is this gesture a pattern or a one-off opportunity to gain favor? And the most important question, did my moving on from this person make my life better overall? Because if the answer is not a heart change, not a pattern, and didn't make your life better, it's time to let them go.
Give me one reason why I should take you back. One.
And he can't give her one reason. Like, what a train wreck.
You still love me? Yes, I love you so much. I miss you.
I'm scared.
And I'm miserable.
This is trash. This ending is trash. This is not romantic. This is nothing to aspire towards. Okay, I promise y'all I'm gonna calm down. Ooh, I just gotta let my heart rate come down real quick. Look, don't get it twisted. The movie is amazing. And it's one of the reasons I love it is because of how realistic and scarily similar it is to our culture. It's well done. It's well written. It's horror. It's a horror film. This is a horror movie because of how scary it is to navigate relationships without getting swallowed up. This ending is so sad to me, but it's also very likely in a generation of people who don't know who we are. We don't know that we deserve more. And you who is watching, you deserve more than a player, a guy or a girl treating you like a ketchup packet. You are A1 and you are not to be wasted. And I have to bring this full message forward. I'm done yelling for a minute, okay? The movie lays out some really strong archetypes for us to follow, right? Marcus, he's the stud. Jacqueline, she's the vixen. Angela, it's the girl next door. Strawn J, this dominatrix. And Lady Eloise, the madam. These characters represent the one-sided view that we all have of sex and the ways in which we paint people with a broad brush. We reduce ourselves to playground equipment being used recreationally and for physical release, but we completely miss the multi-layered mind, body, and spirit, all of which are involved in sex and intimacy. And even when we numb parts of ourselves in the act, it's still there. We're still all of those pieces. And I'm doing my best not to be crass, but you have to understand, Sex is such a huge thing in our society, and it's never talked about, I feel, with the gravity that it should. And all the while, we're losing ourselves, our empathy, our consideration, our ability to love people for their spirits more than their bodies. And though this is a comedy, it stopped being funny to me right around the time when I realized that at one point in my life, I was every single one of these characters. Perhaps not with the designer clothes, but I had the tendency to be flippant and casual about my body, about others. And I'm definitely not proud of that season. But the amazing thing is when I decided to walk away from that life, I really started to heal, and it shifted everything. My relationships, my confidence, my heart grew 2 sizes that day. And I can't take credit for that change. That was a God thing, 100%, still is, by the way. So I guess what I'm trying to say is don't boomerang your life away, choose to live different. Well, that was comedy and conversation. I guess heavy on the comedy, but smash that like button and let me know in the comments anything that I missed that you think is an insight the rest of us can benefit from. And if this is your first time on the channel, thank you for being here. This is how we do analyses around here, digging deep down into the psyche of film because there is so much that we can learn from art. And if you learned something by sticking all the way through the end, I'd love it if you would drop a Marcus in the comments, just to confuse the other folks. Now, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye now.